Hey, this is Gavin. Saturday recording. So, this is a new Gavin. I'm a little bit more humble. Maybe a lot more humble. That's partly because I've been kicked off a few Discord servers. And then I was even told, I ended up, after I went through this learning, this transition, I decided I would apologize to the administrator of one of the servers, and what was good about that is that he informed me that I had insulted a large group of people, and I hadn't realized it. So ideally, if you're going to insult people, you probably should do it intentionally. But I have thought about that. I do think that sometimes people become insulted. I think that I have a good heart, and I'm not trying to insult people. And so if other people become insulted, and I didn't do it intentionally, I think it's because they misunderstood what I had said. That's my understanding. So, we're all children. This is another thing I've realized. We're all children. And so, just have to be a little more careful. I was not behaving as if we were all children. Anyways, you can see these tabs are, I did some study. I read Matthew 7. That's on my blog. You can go read it. This blog post is called Reminders. I'll put a link to it below. And then whenever I was told that I insulted, I was looking in the Bible for anything that was said about slander, things like that. So all I know is try not to deceive people, and try not to cause harm, and try not to stumble. Try not to cause people to stumble. That's all I got from my research, and that's definitely not my intention. So I don't feel too bad about the whole situation. I think it's good because I'm a better person now. Here's the reminders. This is kind of the last part. The servants who serve with the greatest intentions. And that's related to, I had a mystery bear. He reached out to me about my Lomberg video. So I went back and I watched it. And his big question, he said, he quoted me, "I'm high in the competence hierarchy among software engineers. And what makes you say that?" And, he wants to red team me. So I'm glad to have you red team me. So I went back, I watched this, and, I updated the description today. And I added some timestamps. And by the way, this is the thing I'm dealing with, but I also think a lot of people deal with this, especially people who are popular, who are trying to be popular. The professional and successful problem solver. That's really the question. So I said my claim was I'm high in the competence hierarchy among software engineers. So there are, you can go take tests, but those aren't what I'm talking about. Now, I've done my own tests because I'm trying to, I guess I'm a little bit competitive and I care. So for example, I worked for 6 years for a defense contractor in missile defense, and these people had been writing software for 20 years, and I can tell you what I'm good at, and I can tell you what I'm not good at. And if I'm going to tell you what makes me high in the competence hierarchy, I think I should start by saying what I'm not good at. And so probably if I had insulted a large group of people and not even realized it, that kind of indicates what I'm not good at. That's the kind of emotional intelligence. That's not something I'm great at. So forgive me. Forgive me if I upset you. I'm not great at orthodoxy. So there are some people in the engineering world who they go and read all the books and they keep up with the latest information, and this is good. There are some very smart people, and that gives them a toolbox that is very helpful. I learn on the job, so as I encounter a problem, I then will learn what I need to solve the problem, which means I don't go deeper into the knowledge than I need to at that point in time. I've recently changed, and over maybe the last half of a year, I have been reading more and approaching my learning the same way I did when I was in college. So I have tried to get better at that, because why would you get promoted into a position that you're not ready for, where you have to make mistakes and learn? And I've been studying organization and how to build teams and how to be a better team member. That's what I'm trying to do on my site here. Cooperation, that's what I'm trying to learn. But anyways, what I am good at, when I was with missile defense, what I was good at is solving problems, debugging. So basically in the engineering space, you can encounter a problem and you have to understand the problem and provide a solution. That's the space where you can debug. Maybe there's cars that have a defect, or maybe there's a human body that has a defect, or maybe all these things can have a problem, and you have to do troubleshooting. So there are very few people better than me at troubleshooting, and I'm honestly telling you that I have not met any person among hundreds of high caliber human beings who are better than me at troubleshooting. It's a gift. It's a gift I have, and I think the people I've worked with would agree that I am good at that. The other side is feature development, and this is the part where my unorthodox ways aren't the best for working on teams. So if I'm troubleshooting a problem, I'm a very good asset to a team. But if I am into feature development, I can get the job done and solve the problem, but I may do it in a way where when other people look at the solution, they are just become lost. And this isn't good if you're on a team. It's like magic. They look at it, they can't understand it, their brain doesn't work the way my brain works. And then I have a hard time making my brain work the way theirs works. So the person who went and studied all the orthodox ways, they'll just come in and oftentimes say, why'd you do that? You could have done this and it would have been simpler, it would have been easier to read. So I'm trying to learn to do that better, and I am working with someone who's really good at it. And that's in a nutshell. That's why I'm high in competence among software engineers, and specifically I'm high in competence in my troubleshooting ability. My ability to think outside the box. If we're doing feature development, I can understand the code that has been written, and I can identify the risks and the risk areas and the edge cases, and I can often run the test and identify the tests that will fail, because that's the way my brain works. But the person who's the orthodox thinker, they will miss those edge cases. They will have more problems. They will tend to have more bugs in their code, and it'll take them longer to identify the bugs even after they're being experienced by the end user. So very few people better than me at that specific skill. Now, you mentioned Boston Dynamics, Tesla, Linux, Intel. So in the past, I would say something like, these people do not allow for remote workers, and companies that do not allow remote work, they are low in competence. The COVID-19 event has, I called it an event, but it has encouraged people to behave in ways that are better. One of those is allowing remote work. And recently, Amazon started allowing more remote work. And I've continued to have a lot of Amazon people trying to recruit me. I took their initial test and I passed it, and then they wanted to go through the recruiting process, and I just did not want to do it. and I told them from the beginning, I do not like your hiring process. And the reason I don't like it is because I am not an orthodox software engineer. And these companies tend to hire orthodox software engineers because they tend to be orthodox. That's the reason they resist doing remote work. And this is and so they're conservative. They're not like putting their foot into areas that are risky, where they are exploring the boundaries of what will allow an organization to be better than every other organization. And they can do that because quite a few reasons, and some of them have to do with being able to play that orthodoxy game and being able to get defense contracts and get money from the government, right? That's part of the reason that these companies are able to do what they're doing. Also, even mediocre engineers produce valuable code because there are things that have been learned within these organizations that haven't been learned in, for example, medicine. And medicine is a really important one, where engineers have learned to do things like design reviews, and so they review their plan. They have a plan and they review it. You can have a team of people trying to identify a problem, and you can also have after the work is done, you can have a retrospective analysis on code reviews, like what was done. You can look at, and so if you were to translate all these practices in engineering to the medical field, you would have recording devices such that there can be education that happens, and you can have that review of the work that had been done, but it's not being done, right? And it's because it's part of this orthodoxy. It's part of this conservative traditional movement where people have a lot of faith in what has been learned, and they don't have a brain like mine. They aren't trying to troubleshoot the entire system and look for the risk areas and identify and experiment with processes and actions and technologies that will make the system better as a whole. And just one more thing I really have to. So I hope that covers what you're asking, and I will do a write-up on this for you. It's a great engagement, and I appreciate it. But the one thing I want to say here is that I said that Jordan Peterson sounds whiny, and what I've learned over the last few weeks with my own health issues, and so what I've learned is people have good reasons to sound whiny. And another thing I've learned is that I said that Peterson and Lomborg are not good in the solution space, and I wanted to mention many people self-report gratitude towards Jordan's creations, and that's more than what I've done. So, I'm really good at troubleshooting, and I was working in missile defense, and then so I've been moving around, but ultimately, the amount of people who self-report to me about how I've been able to help them is near zero, if not zero. So I want to put that out there, is that I do, I have struggled with vanity, and I think I've stepped into a better area recently, transformed into a better version of myself, and I do recognize that. And this was related to Matthew 7, is remove the beam from your own eye so that you can see more clearly, to help remove the mote that's in your brother's eye. And I just want to point out that Jordan Peterson seems to be able to remove the motes from other people's eyes, and this may be like the foundation of, it's like the fundamental problem to solve, and it has something to do with personal responsibility. So I would like to do some takebacks here, where I say they're either addendums or takebacks. Another one is how do you find smart people? Well, Elon Musk funded a competition regarding climate change, and I'm trying to help. I'm helping an individual who had a great idea, in my opinion, and helping him form a team, providing a website. It's called, actually I can just show you in case you're curious, convective heat engine animation. I've been working on this website, and so This is like the solution I was talking about in that video, where you can solve climate change, you can help the poor, you can basically raise everybody up, you can have more efficient energy for everyone. It solves a lot of problems. Nutrition, I mean, all the chain cause and effects of solving a problem, like essentially, I mean, transforming deserts into green space and providing a reliable source of food and water and shelter and clothing for everyone on Earth. Like, that transforms the world. One of the side effects is that it allows you to you actually end up with anthropomorphic climate change, where you control the climate the same way you would control the climate in your house. You make the climate more predictable, the supply of water more predictable. And the downstream effect is, now we've been able to increase the amount of carbon capture into plants. And this is just a side effect. There's so many side effects of this system that that I've been able to help share with the world. And we're going to try to enter into the X Prize. And this could end up being part of my job for the rest of my life, is working on this system. Anyways, I appreciate your attention, and maybe see you next week, next Saturday. All right. Hero looking for a group, Gavin Palmer. Hit like, hit subscribe, go share. I would appreciate it. I'm not going to do the sharing. So if you go share it, if you liked it, if you share it, that'd be great. I appreciate it. Thank you.